Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the stream. Hi, how are we doing today? Doing well? Good. Um, I just answered all my own questions. Hi, John, how are you?
I'm doing real well. How are you doing? I
Oh,
love
I'm
this outfit.
I'm doing fantastic. Yes, I am here, and we're joining you not from our fancy New York apartments as we were yesterday. We are now in the jungles of Jurassic Park. You heard that right. And so I felt like it was appropriate to dress for the occasion. John, can you tell everyone a little bit about who you are, what you do, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, I am. I'm a graphic designer in New York. I have a lot of experience in branding and some advertising agency experience, kind of a grab bag of stuff. And we're doing some logo designs today, part two. So for everyone
Yes.
who was here yesterday, we're gonna take it further.
It's going to be a super fun day. I'm very, very excited. Yesterday, if you were here, the chat kind of started to sway the direction that we were creating and created something that we would not have done before. And so we do a lot of prep for these streams. We're off book. We are literally doing it live and here with you in chat. John, let's take a little bit of a look at your work. Let's take a look at the new school project. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, this is when I say like a grab bag of experiences as a designer. I mean that in a really good way, and that I've got to do a lot of different things. And this is a project I did at the last agency I was at, where we did an animation for the new school, which is a school here in New York City. And so I got to work on kind of style framing and art direction design for it. And then I worked with a super talented animator who brought it all to life. So it was a really a slightly different project than what I usually do, but a really, really fun one.
Incredible, yes. And for reference, this is just because I taught design history for a long time. Chat, if you like this style, this is two things, either Bauhaus or Art Concrete. And if you want to look up some artists that do this style, Max Bill is a great one. Maxbill, if you want to check that out. Really,
You
really
are a
cool work.
pro.
I,
You are a
I
pro.
did this for a long time, and I love being able to like look at something and then realizing like, oh, this is something that is taken from history and remixed and like made into a new style for today. And so I
Mhm.
love that you can see that in your work, and it just speaks to the thought process that you have behind there.
Yeah, and that speaks to kind of, the founding of the new school was around that Bauhaus time, so we wanted to pull in some of that vibe into the style. So it's awesome that that comes through.
Yes, and I think that that speaks to what we did yesterday, and that is really looking and doing comparisons, doing research. A lot of our process yesterday was like looking into stuff and having reference, which I think is so important. And so let's go ahead and hop in. First, let's say hi to chat. Hello, chat. There's lots of people in here. We've got Voodoo Val. Val, are you our moderator today? We love having Val here in chat. Felix, Sydney, Isam, hello, welcome. Let me know where you're watching from in the world. I am in Southern California. John, where are you? Oh, you've already said this.
Yeah, I'm in New York City. I'm in Harlem specifically.
Nice. And you're in an apartment, right?
I am. I'm in the same studio apartment that I've been working out of for almost a year now.
Yes. Are you like higher away from the street noise, or are you like ground level, like in the thick of
I
New
don't know
York?
if you can be higher away from the street noise because I'm definitely 4 stories off the ground, but anyone who has, who had the chance to be in the room before we went live heard the window open and I had to shut it because it's too
Yes.
loud outside.
Yeah, somehow there are cars that are floating just right past your window on the fourth floor.
Yeah,
um,
constantly.
Great to see you here. There's a lot of people here. And yes, Voodoo Val is our moderator. That's awesome. And we have people watching from Sweden, from the Netherlands,
Oh,
Canada. We're
wow.
just worldwide. Like, who cares
I
about the
love
US
that.
today? We're all over the place. Okay, cool. So enough talking. Let's hop in and take a look at what we did yesterday, give a little bit of context, why we're in the jungle, and kind of talk about what we're doing and where we have been. So I'm going to flip over to your screen so that we can see everything that we've been working on.
Yeah, definitely. So this is just before we jump into Illustrator, let's like review the research and the early setup we had. This is Ingen, the International Genetics Technology Company, which is, of course, the fake company behind Jurassic Park. But we just did like a quick audit where we looked at the logo, we looked at some of the branding materials that they have. Obviously, this is pulled from the film, so it's a specifically movie screenshot moment, but you know, some of the Mr. DNA corporate facing characters, some of the military-esque stencil graphics that are used on vehicles, and then we also have I keep wanting to call him Newman, but I know it's Dennis Nerdy.
Oh no, it's Newman. It's definitely Newman.
It's Newman.
It's Dinosaur Newman.
But this is probably where the brand is going to be most of the time, on these little name tags and in this very corporate environment. So, you know, we've got that. We looked at some of our actual competitors. These are real companies that exist now, just through a quick Google search of like what they look like. It's kind of a grab bag of stuff. And then we did some early sketching, and like, you know, I scanned in a page from my sketchbook just to look at some reference there. And that was our starting point.
Yeah.
And we took all that into...
Yes,
Yeah.
Voodoo Val says DNA. That's right. We were doing Dino DNA today.
DNA. And you know, I was worried DNA was going to be like, it was going to be everywhere in all the other logos, so we couldn't do it and we'd have to do something different. But thankfully, no one really does it well. So
yeah. And it's so important in the process. I love that you have these slides and we toss them together in XD. It's so important to see, okay, what's happening out there? Because when we speak to the customers, when we're speaking to the audience, it needs to be like in the same conversation, right? If we're talking to somebody and it's like a donut company and we're giving vibes off that it's like, it's healthy and like good for you and organic, that it's like, wait, that doesn't fit. Like it's just donuts. Yeah. And so I love that we've taken time to be like, okay, cool. Where are our competitors? What's the conversation? And then we're taking ideas from that, but then twisting them, which is super fun.
Yeah, and it was a good jumping off point, and thankfully we had DNA to work with because I really wanted to play with it.
Yes. So let's hop over into Illustrator. We explored a bunch of stuff yesterday. Can you kind of just take us through beginning to end, maybe concept by concept, how we kind of approached it yesterday?
Yeah, I think we just kind of started going from my sketchbook, which is, you know, really quick, rough doodles, and pulling those over. And as you can see here, there's still one kind of cropped out there, but just taking each concept piece by piece and blowing them out into lots of different iterations. So we started with these DNA marks, trying to get an icon, trying to get a letter form. At the end of our work session, these little yellow circles were kind of like highlights where we collectively look through and mark some stuff that was working. So there's something interesting here with this little mark. I think we were all really liking the way this N DNA thing was working.
Yeah, and that's what happened
That's
what happened at the end of stream. When we were kind of just vibing with chat and we were like, oh shoot, it's getting so good. So chat, if you have any questions for our friend John, definitely drop those into chat. I'll relay them as we work. But also if you have suggestions, like this is the direct result of your suggestions. So
absolutely,
y'all are doing pretty good. Send us an invoice for your consulting. You're doing great. So we can continue that.
Yeah.
And then we had a couple other ideas that we can explore. What other concepts did we kind of play with?
Yeah, and I think we had some stuff that is moving forward and some stuff that died but helped us get to where we ended up. So like some of these type things weren't really the right vibe, but I think playing around with this little like parentheses icon got us somewhere really cool. So it was constructive and worth it. And then we went, we love you, goodbye. I don't need to see you again.
Yeah,
so that's gone. And then here we were playing with some word marks. This G with the IN inside of it, I think is interesting. So we marked that. And I think we're going to try and make one of these work a little bit today. I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but there's something there. So I also think it's like nice that we have like 3-ish different type of logos. We have like a word mark, we have an icon, we have like a graphic shape inside a word mark. And they're doing different things, which is nice. Because if we were going to show these to a client for like a first round, that would be really helpful to get their feedback of like what they react to each one. Maybe they don't want a word mark, and that we don't know that yet. So it'd be good to get, you know, that kind of test early on.
Yep. And especially with something like this, to where like we don't have a lot of time to talk to the client because they don't exist, that we can't like have those conversations, which we usually would do, right? You'd sit down and be like,
Mhm.
cool, what are our goals, that kind of stuff. This is great going into this imaginary pitch because it's like, cool, if we can't talk to the client, let's shotgun and give them some options, give them some ideas, and then we work our way down from there until we have like that laser focus, kind of sniper at what we want. That this is really great. That's like, cool, here's shotgun. These are different vibes, different looks, but we're gonna hit them all.
Yeah. And even if we did have a real client to talk to, it might be a pitch, so maybe we didn't even get to talk to them yet. It might be a client that thinks they know what they want, and then when you actually talk to them, they're like, "Oh, no, 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 this right there," because when they see it, they can point to it, but
Yes.
they don't have the words or the language or the visual experience to like know ahead of time.
Yep.
So it's always good, I think, to give people stuff to react to because we all have a visual sense. We just don't always have like the language ahead of time to talk about it.
Yep.
So
That's such an
it's
interesting
easier to point.
idea of like giving them something to react to. That it's like, cool, I'm gonna throw something at you, and then based on your response, I'm gonna adapt to that. Like this is not me trying to sell you on it. This is me just trying to get a reaction from you to see where you actually are. I love that concept for pitching to a client.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it, I think.
Yep.
Um,
All right. So
but
where do
yeah,
we
so we
want to?
got all that.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I have my little folder organized, my Adobe Live, my Ingen, my design, and then we got a day two file right here. So I took
Yes.
some of the things I liked. We're going to ignore that for now. I took some of the things I liked and moved it over into a new artboard, so we can
Oh,
leave everything in the other one.
I
If
love
we
that
want
the
to go back,
T-Rex tile made it of the things that we love. Like
I told you I brought the important things over.
that's it. That was a
So
very important thing that happened yesterday.
I moved it over here, but it's still gonna be there.
And we talked yesterday about your organization process, that it is broad and then refine, refine, refine. How have you organized this? Where are we kind of jumping into, and what's the process to get started today?
Yeah, so I kind of did four buckets, and I'm using just like a 1920 by 1080 artboard, but you could do it anywhere. I could do it on the side. I could do it in whatever size I want. I just like working in a widescreen format, and tried to just kind of hopefully we'll have 3 to 4 logos at the end of this, maybe in an ideal world. And I tried to bucket them where I think they're going to be. So the bottom left, there's going to be something that's a word mark. The top left, there's going to be something that's this DNA icon. We're going to have something with this N. And then if we can get this G to work, that's great too. So those are like the 4 areas that we're where we're going to focus. And
We
the one
talked.
thing that's a little new, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, we talked
I'm in a
yesterday.
talky mood today.
I love it. No, I love it. It makes my job easier. The thing that we talked about yesterday is like, what is the thing? And I love that like this has defined the thing. And you just said it, that you're like, there's something happening with the G here that like maybe we'll figure it out. That each of these are like, cool, they're different concepts because they each have a different core of like what the thing is. And I love that you've like actually pointed that out here.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we're gonna figure out the things today, hopefully.
Fingers crossed, chat.
I did a little bit of work as I was setting this up. Not really work, but I took some things from our artboard and was playing around with it because I think we have a lot of cool chunky stuff from yesterday. And so I was wondering, is there like a light line mark, something with like a thinner type? So I took some of these shapes that I thought were cool and was playing around with like, is it an icon like this guy here? Is it a mark inside? Maybe it's the E. I also think maybe this guy here could not be an E, but become a cool shape unto itself. So I think that's maybe where I'm going to play around first. But if anyone sees anything here that they're like super drawn to, feel free to jump in the chat and let us know.
Yep, and we talked yesterday, it's all about momentum. So this is where we start. It takes a lot of energy to move a train from 0 to 1 mile an hour, and then a little bit less to go 1 to 5. And so eventually we'll get to that full 60 miles an hour down the train tracks. But let's get started somewhere and see if we can build that momentum. Again, chat, if you have any ideas, if you have any suggestions, put them in the chat, let them know, and I'll relay those over to John. And if you have any questions, we'll do that as well.
Yeah, we are definitely at a 0 edging on 0.25 miles an hour right
Yes,
now.
slow roll. We'll slow roll into it. And yes, Juratima says, I really like that icon. It feels very minimal and futuristic. I agree. This has more of like a techie vibe than some of the other ones,
Mhm.
which is a cool vibe to explore as one of these options.
And I think there's something nice. It started out like trying to really be a letter. Like I was trying to make it an E because I was just looking at letters, but I think it might be more interesting just as like a thing.
Yep, I
I
love
don't
that.
know
Like,
if it is anything yet, but
yeah, it was trying
maybe.
to be something, but like it just didn't feel right. Like, it's not who it really is. Like, let's discover who this logo is.
Yeah, it's turned into a therapy session. I like it. A therapy session with the icon.
It's so true. And I've heard like authors talk about this, that they're like, I want to do a certain thing with the book, but the character like makes me do something else. That it's interesting that like that also applies to design. That's like, man, I wanted this to be something, but it really wants to be something else. And Startup Santana asking about letter forms and logos, and ask for any professional books with ideas on logos. If you're working on letter forms, the one that I would recommend is a book called ABC 3D by Marion Bentale. It's literally just a pop-up book of the alphabet, but it's the coolest alphabet book you've ever seen in your life. So if you're looking for something fun, check that out, and maybe that would be something that would be worth exploring that could help you out and inspire you.
Oh, I like that. I have not seen that. I'm gonna look it up.
Oh,
I actually pulled a book right before this in case that question came up.
yes.
I would say that usually I end up looking at blogs rather than books, just because like by the time a thing is in a book, it might be not as current anymore.
Yep.
So I always check out Brand New is a blog where they kind of do the best of new branding stuff. It's not always the most productive place in the comments. I think it gets a little trolly in the comment section, but the work they post is really good.
Yep.
And I think they've put out some books too. But if I'm gonna get a book, I always go with like classic stuff. So like I have this Chermayeff and Geismar book, and
Oh,
they're the
can't go
people
wrong.
that did. Yeah, they're the guys that did the Chase Bank logo, the Showtime logo, like classic logo stuff.
Mobile. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like everything you've ever seen.
Yep.
Um, and the thing is, like with a good logo, the applications will change and age. Like some of the colors might feel dated, or the application might feel dated. But a good logo mark is kind of eternal, and you can always refresh with a brand system update rather than having to like redraw the whole logo. And I
Yep.
think their stuff is very much like that.
Yeah, and just a shout out to Armin, Armin Vitz, and I believe it's pronounced Briany, maybe Bryony, I'm not sure. They run Brand New. They're incredible, amazing designers and super nice people in general. Outside of design, if you want to follow Armin just on social media, he just got puppies, and it's been the joy of my life to like get a little bit of design from him, but also just get like puppy updates. But yeah, they're the best,
Oh
and they also
wow.
run a conference. They run Brand New conference that once things get back up to having conferences, like definitely Brand New is like the designers conference. Like it is so good. I got to go to the one in Las Vegas right before COVID. So once that
Oh
starts back
nice.
up, like check out Brand New conference. It's the best. Armin is literally like top tier when it comes to putting on events. So anything they do, check it out. Subscribe to Brand New. That's my full endorsement. And yes, someone asking, what are we doing today? I just tuned in. One, welcome. Two, if you're on YouTube, I forgot to announce this. If you're on YouTube, we love you. You're in the wrong place, but like, let's just explore a life journey together where you take steps in a positive direction over to Behance. So come over to behance.net/live, and that's where the chat is. That's where we're working. That's where we're talking. Leave us a red heart in chat to let us know that you came from YouTube, and it'd be great to see you over there. And we are working today on branding for Ingen, which is the imaginary company that is behind Jurassic Park. They're in charge of the genetics and engineering the dinosaurs. And so we're rebranding them, hence the safari outfit. We are here in the jungle of Jurassic Park, kind of getting inspiration today, really feeling out the lay of the land. And yes, thank you for the links, Val. If you can link Armin's Instagram as well, that's where puppy updates happen.
I didn't realize there were puppy updates. I really need to get on that.
It's quite the joy. I like your now, and we talked about this yesterday, the refining process of like getting the idea, and now we're getting into the technicals, which I think is interesting. That now it's like, okay, the concept shape is there. Now let's try to like line up angles. Let's try to find things. Is that kind of where you are in the process?
Yeah, I mean, if it's not going to be an E, should these go at an angle? Maybe that's the right thing. And then I'm like, should this line up with this one there? Is that what? Maybe, maybe not. But trying to give like a rationale for the way the shapes are arranged on a more precise level.
Yeah, it's very
This don't
it
work here.
it definitely is like, oh, this is a twist on Helix, whatever it is. It's a fun twist on a concept.
Yeah, and
Oh,
the thing with that is it could be maybe more ownable, So
yes.
if it's a more unique shape, whoever you make it for can make it theirs.
You know what? And it's totally not. We did this yesterday where we looked at the Nespresso logo and we're like, it's kind of like that. So it reminds me of, but it's totally not, the Metroid logo. Like
Oh,
this,
it
the Samus
does.
logo, but like it's like a different. It's definitely different enough. I just looked it up, but it does have that vibe, which is kind of cool. That we want that futuristic technology vibe. That it does fit into the language that's already happening there.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, and there's something to be, as we've been working with these shapes, there's something about like isolating a gene maybe, or using a shape to kind of put a box around something that makes sense conceptually too.
Yep.
You can back end a rationale and that's okay because I don't think you're making up a reason for it to exist. It's just you had a gut feeling, and you finally figure out what that gut feeling was based on. It was not conscious maybe when you were doing it, but
Yep.
there's a reason.
I definitely have told like students and stuff, if you're doing a case study, and this goes to everyone watching too, if you're doing a case study and you didn't do sketches and you want to show process, go back and make sketches. Because I'm like, cool, that was happening in my brain. It just wasn't on paper. And so I don't feel bad going back after the fact and being like, I want to show process. I'm going to sketch the things out that I was thinking, so that I can have them as a part of a case study. It doesn't have to be real and authentic that it's like, oh, this happened before I started working on the logo. It's like, this idea was in my brain. I just want to show you what was happening in there.
I mean, also, you've seen my sketches. You can always make them better too if you did do so,
Yes.
because
Yes,
mine
that's
could
so
definitely
true.
look nicer.
Yes. Oh, interesting. Yeah, Voodoo Val made an interesting observation. I think that if you added more than the three DNA lines, it would start to move into audio, which we did run into yesterday. That we're like, cool, this looks like an audio waveform, on one of our DNAs because we had like a whole bunch going back and forth.
Oh, that is a good point. Yeah, you're right. That was a thing that came up without. Wow, and if you only have three, it goes away completely. Interesting.
That's so interesting that you just completely lose it.
Yeah, it goes away completely. All right. Huh. Maybe I'll. I think there's some things here that we can come back to.
Yeah, I
Oh my
think that
God,
that mark, like where you landed on the thicker one at that angle with like the aligned, like
this
that,
guy here.
yeah, that like feels something. It just like feels like cool. That could be a thing. So yeah, and we did this yesterday too to get started. That maybe you just like push a little bit on one, and you're like, cool, my brain's done there. Let's jump over somewhere else. Um,
Hmm.
so are we ready for the favorite?
I can't hold off any
I
longer. I
know
wanted
that's
to pretend
all I've
like I
been
was
thinking
going
about.
to,
Yep.
but I
Yeah,
just
it's
want
like
to figure out
let's
what this
explore
is.
something, but really just land on the thing that we actually want to do here. So for
Yeah,
reference,
yesterday we did this skew to the end, right at the end.
yep,
I think it was based on someone in the chat, right?
yeah, our friend Rob Zilla suggested that we add like a little bit of skew, and it gave it like a cool energy that I think if we built out like the rest of some type with it, like it just has a cool like forward movement now. And so I think let's keep exploring and see what happens with this. And chat, this is definitely one that we want your feedback. We want your revision, any advice you have on this, because we really, really like it, but we want to see where we can push it next.
Oh, wrong, wrong window.
So those hotkeys. Yeah. So where does your brain go to like get started on this? With something that we like so much already, how we're like, okay, cool, let's keep doing stuff and see if we can like it more.
I feel like right now it's at a point where there's something interesting there, and so I kind of want to take it a step further in its refinement. Like I want to align stuff and see if it actually holds up when we take it a step further.
Cool. Yep.
And then it gets into like, is everything rounded or something squared? Is it a mix of both? There I just distributed everything equally so it's lined up that way. Maybe I'll group that. I think it's cool to have these rounded shapes, maybe with a hard line here. And then my next question would be like, are these edges rounded? Are they hard?
Yep.
So I think I'm gonna try and get it in a space where we can explore that stuff.
Totally, yeah. I think that we've done this on other concepts too. That it's like, cool, there's something here. This is far enough that like we got the sketch idea that wasn't pencil and paper that has moved into like a digital sketch, and now we're going to refine it and make it actually a thing and see if it still holds up. If it's just the concept that works or if it's the actual application. And someone in chat is saying that it's reading a little bit like IRI, but it's an interesting concept. And so I think once we get everything refined, we can play around maybe with like weights and make it read more like an N, because right now it is kind of the variable weight back and forth. But let's get it refined and then see where we can go with it. Other advice: what if you did a relief logo with a solid background? Yes, I'm sure by the end of this we'll show it in probably color, in black and white, and then reversed out. Those are usually the three bases that you deliver to clients. When you present, do you do that, John? Is like show everything on different applications?
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously that could be like a whole second exploration once you have a mark, is you know what it looks like. So we could do a whole another day on that. But I think as just like a first pass, definitely showing those kind of three different states is important. And if you're going to build a brand book, you got to have that in there.
Yep. Do you have an opinion on like what people have been doing? And I think it's a trend. I think it's a good trend, of like Coca-Cola that has variable logos, that it's like depending on the size it changes to a different logo, that it's like, oh, it's just the C, or like it's a full Coca-Cola, or like at this size it stacks this way. Do you ever build systems like that?
Definitely. And I think for a digital execution, it's kind of necessary now, because you're going to have so many different sizes, especially like when you think about a social icon or something like that, yeah, you need to think through those solutions, because some beautiful long word marks just make no sense when you go to Instagram, you know?
Yes. Oh, 100%. I've seen way too many of those, like tiny words straight across the middle with just white space, like fully encompassed. So if you guys are watching and you're wondering hotkeys, any like tools that he's using, go ahead and just ask in chat and I'll try to point those out as I watch. I know right now we're using a lot of Pathfinder stuff, which is basically just, I like to think of Illustrator's way of scrapbooking. We're either combining things together or we are punching them out like a hole punch or like a die cut, using the Pathfinder. And then we're doing a lot of expanding, which takes things from being a stroke, which is just like a mark on a line, to being a full shape. And that's going to help us with alignment, because we aren't kind of guessing. We can actually lock in to those details and those points like you see John doing right now.
Yeah, and I did a lot of that expanding and pathfindering on this middle section here. I don't want to group it all, or I don't want to make it all one shape just yet. So it's still a couple different shapes, but I grouped it in sections. Like I want this middle bar and the two sides to be one element, and then I'll base other things off of that. So there's like a group within a group right now, but eventually I'll smash it all into one shape. Yep,
and we were doing this yesterday. We are using the Pathfinder now because we've kind of reached that zone. But yesterday we were just throwing white boxes over things. And that's totally, there's no wrong way to do creativity and design. We literally were just like, cool, let's take a white box, toss it over here and pretend like it's gone. And that way you can kind of get a vibe of what it's actually going to look like. Man, I really like this mark. Good work, chat. Good work, John. I'm just here for color commentary.
Not yet. There, my rulers. Oh my gosh, I was very confused as to where they were. There we go. So this is where you get a little bit more precise.
Yep. Yeah, and turning on smart guides and using rulers is super helpful. I find specifically with type. I do use it with shapes and stuff, but when I'm doing type, there are so many grids and guides to just make sure everything's aligning, everything's perfect. And so if you don't know how to do those, you can hit Command R, or you can go to View, Show Rulers, and pull down rulers from those little measurement bars that pop out. You just click and drag them down. And there's all kinds of fun stuff you can do with guides. You can make guides out of shapes, you can make guides out of lines, or you could pull them down using those rulers.
Oh, I don't know what's happening with this. Here, I just learned that this is a little bit of a wonky shape by placing this one next to
Yeah,
it.
I was gonna say, how did the exact same shape suddenly become two different shapes?
I don't know, but I think now we fixed it.
Got it.
Yes. Okay, good. Let's get rid of this one and do the same one just so that, because I don't know what we're going to do with this, but I want it to hold up when we do stuff with it.
I don't know what we're gonna do, but when we do stuff.
I want to make sure the geometry is there so we can be wild and not worry about it later.
Yep.
Okay.
And this is one of the ones that, like, I talked about this yesterday, seeing things in color kind of as you go. This is one that, like, literally any color in my brain is just like, yes, 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 yes. Even maybe playing around with some freeform gradients at the end once we get into color,
Ooh.
seeing what it looks like to put some, like, crazy vibey gradients in there, see what we can get. I know that in your work you have a couple projects that just rely heavily on color, whether it's like the luxury of that Gulf Stream or like the pop of the Jit Jat Joe. Is that something that you try to incorporate into the brand system?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, color's always the thing that can kind of separate, the final vibe at the end, push a mark one way or another. So it's definitely an important part of the process. It's kind of like making sure the bones are there first, and then you can throw paint on it.
So true, yeah. Need to
There's a
build the
lot of
body and
weird
then we dress it
metaphors.
up.
Who are you putting? Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like bones, paint, house, people. I don't know what I was doing
sure, why not? Just cook it up into a delicious dish. All kinds of
there.
metaphors just slamming together. And I like that we are, again, copies and copies and copies. Pixels are free. Aaron Draplin always says that. Literally make as many copies as you want, and that way you can iterate and not have to go back and try to figure stuff out.
Well, and now we're looking at like such small differences between these that it's nice to be able to be like, what is the distance here? What is that based on? I don't know. I'm just kind of eyeballing it now, but maybe we need to figure that out. And then how thick does this need to be?
Yep.
Yeah, still not really sure, but we'll see.
And I think it's definitely reading more of an N now. And I agree, the idea you're talking earlier of like maybe rounding some of those edges to see what happens on the vertical bars, if that like incorporates the kind of swoop that's happening, because it definitely has a lot of momentum with it.
Yeah, let's try that now. Let's see. So these are, I mean, this is just two shapes, but we can pathfinder it together and maybe get rid of these little extra points.
Oh man, we're lucky my mic was muted because I just sneezed so intensely.
Bless you.
Whew. Oh yeah, that's actual bless you. We talked about that yesterday. That like we have a bless you for sneezes, but nothing for coughs. We need to get on that, society. Chat. What are we? What should you say when somebody coughs? We need to come up with a term for what we would do there. So if you want to just round one of the corners, go ahead and click on the actual anchor point, and it should select just that one. Yeah, there you go.
Ah, that's what it is. You
Yep.
knew exactly what I was trying to figure out.
I try. Yeah. That definitely is going to give it more of a N feel, I think. And it's interesting things that you don't think about relating to shapes and design, that like an element of this now that we're trying to balance is not like visual composition, but it's like energy and momentum and movement, which is something that's like not actually happening with a still object, but you're like, man, it feels like it's going too fast. Like let's maybe like make it less quick, or like, yeah, let's really push it so that it has like a ton of energy. It's just interesting that like that's something we have to think about. Chat likes the rounding. I agree.
So I'm going back and forth with where the rounding happens, whether it's the part of the N that goes in or whether it's like a motion thing on the edges.
Yeah, chat. Any thoughts on this? If the roundedness leads into the curve, or if it's on the opposite of the curve? Any thoughts on that either way? I'm looking up another logo. Oh man, I don't remember what it is. It's some kind of like aquatic, like nautilus or something. Uh, that like has an energy vibe with the N that we could take inspiration from, but I can't remember what it actually is, and I can't find anything for what that reference was. Huh.
Mm,
It's cool. It's definitely got a vibe.
yeah, I think when you round all of them, it feels a little too friendly.
Yep.
But there's something cool here.
So chat is liking the one on the left to where the roundeds are contrasted. Yeah.
This guy here.
Yeah.
What is it? Let's be like a doctor, an eye doctor. Is it A
Oh yeah,
or
chat.
B?
A or B? I think that you were leaning toward A. Is it A or B that you're referencing? Let us know. And someone said Nestle.
Ooh.
What does the Nestle logo look like?
I thought that was like an illustrative thing.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, their end is very different.
But they do have that crossbar, which is interesting, as we were talking about that for something different yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think let me pull up chat again. It's A for me. Yeah. Chat likes A.
A for me. Let's move all these guys away then, so we can focus on our friend now.
Bye. Thanks for playing. Oh yeah, no, chat definitely wants A.
Nice. And I wonder if this is an I. Do we? That guy maybe?
Oh yeah. I think that that's definitely reading as an IN now. I wonder if we try another version that puts a thicker stroke on the inside DNA. And it might completely bleed it out, but just something that's a
Yeah, let's
little bit
try
extra
it.
chunk.
Let's try it.
Man, I have never seen chat activate so intensely for the A option. Like people that I've
Oh,
never seen
wow.
comment in chat are just out of the woodwork. "Hey, it's gotta be."
That's great.
Thank you, chat. Thank you for the feedback.
I was like, I hope that's great. Other than like, what is he doing? Of course it's A.
Of course it's A. Why is he even looking at B?
Well, that's real chunky.
Oh yeah, it got bad.
Let's let's see the in betweens though. Whoa, what's going on? The thing is, I'm putting the stroke on the outside, so it's changing the
Oh,
size
that's
of
true.
everything. But if we just do maybe like a 1 point, and then
Yeah.
try it, let's see.
Is it too much? Chat, let us know A or B. A on the left, B on the right. I wonder what it would look like. Rounded corners on the sharp point of the DNA strand. So maybe
This
that kind
guy
of
here.
corner, yeah.
Yeah, we can try that.
There are endless options here, chat. We love your feedback. We love your collaboration. This is going to be a really cool thing. I'm actually excited about where this is going to land.
Yeah, I mean, we could spend the whole day just on this.
Yes, somebody, Chopper is back in chat and ready for Evil G.
Oh, we got to give Evil G some time.
Oh, yeah. You know what? That completely kills the N for me somehow.
Yeah, what is it? I wonder why. Interesting.
Yeah.
It does. I'm looking at that inside shape rather than I think the larger piece.
Yep. And Chopper says B on the option, so a little bit thicker on that one. Cool. So maybe we go with that right one. And yes, Chopper, we are in the jungle exploring.
I wonder, let me look if we even split the difference one more time.
Oh yeah. Whoa, interesting. Right? It's weird how like we rounded that corner by like 1 pixel and it completely changed the logo to where it's like, "Oh no, this is not good now." Suddenly the smallest detail just throws off the balance of the whole thing.
I'm trying to look at it small too to see if, how thick does it get before that all muddies together.
Oh yeah, so that's
Um,
something that you want to pay attention to. If we know that it's getting spray painted on vehicles, if it's getting printed at small sizes, we want to make sure that it's not just going to completely bleed together.
yeah. Let's try.
Oh, and someone said that they just saw a dino for the DNA strand, and I kind of agree. Okay, so let's use our imaginations. That okay, I need to pose it. So like I'm a dinosaur, and I'm looking like over my shoulder this way. I guess I need to go this way. Right? So it's like a profile of
This
the
guy
dinosaur.
here?
Yeah, so like the top is the eye, and then the next one is the mouth, and then it's the chin, and then you have like the spikes of like a stegosaurus, and it's like looking over its back so that the spikes are like
Oh, I
showing
like
through a little bit.
that.
Right? It like
I
kind of is a
like
little
that.
dino. Chat, we're just gonna say that is again a justification that like isn't actually a thing, but like we'd pitch it to the client and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's a nice detail." It's
Yeah, yeah.
DNA and a dino. What's the dino's name? I love naming things in logos. What do we not want to name our little friend who's hiding in the middle of this I and N?
That is an important question.
It very much is. I did a
And
logo for a coffee company and their mascot was a mule, and they had, well, we ended up doing in the pitch like a full profile of like, who is this mule, what's his name, like what do his friends do, what does he hang out on the weekends. We had like this profile, like a customer profile for this mule.
I love that.
And yes, a lot of people are eager to see this in color. I agree. So we're going to come back to color near the end of the stream. And just to give you kind of a reference, we've got about an hour-ish left here of working on things. And then we are going to go back and we are going to take a look at a featured artist today here on Behance with some amazing work. We're going to kind of check it out, hype it up, and show off some of their work. And then later today, let's hop over for the schedule. We have the creative encore of the XD Daily Creative Challenge coming up with Andrea Epi at 2 o'clock right after this stream. And then Draw Along with Kyle Webster. We love Kyle. I love that show so much. It's so good and relaxing to have on in the background to follow along with. And then the end of the day, some doodle therapy with our friend Alice Lee. So make sure you stick around and check those out after this stream and for the rest of the day here on Adobe Live. That was like my Disney Channel, like next
That was
up on Disney
impressive.
Channel.
That was very impressive.
I need did you ever see those commercials where they have the like wand and they make like the little like Mickey and they're like, "You're watching the Disney Channel." Like I need that for Adobe Live where like we do the Adobe A. Oh gosh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that for a stream at some point. Y'all are gonna see me on like a white background with a wand, make the Adobe A, and be like, "You're watching Adobe Live."
So good.
Oh yeah, we got some type going now. All right, now we're really vibing into a new zone. We're at about 10 miles an hour with that train. We're starting to move.
I mean, yeah, we'll see what's happening.
And it's
Whoops.
interesting when we talk about vibes and finding a voice for the brand. As we toss around different typefaces here, each one has a unique voice. Um, oh
Yeah, and I
gosh,
think that's like a whole separate part of this that
oh,
I don't think we're gonna have time to get the perfect typeface to
we
pair with
will
this,
not.
just given our time. But that's like a whole separate. Once you get a mark you like, then it's like it can feel so different depending on what you pair it with. And I was trying to do like even just looking at the same font, which this is based on, but like, is it lowercase and next to it? Is it an icon mark? Is it in the word itself? Is it? I don't know. It can, the same mark can look very different. Do we take these little things and apply them to this type here so it feels all kind of connected?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think that is like Again, one of those small details that make a huge difference. Um, that like, oh, let's round these corners just a little bit, and it will be like, oh, cool, it's an entirely new thing. It looks like it's fully custom type, even though we've literally just gone in and changed a little bit of that type.
Yeah, especially for the end, because I definitely want to hero that end so that we can, like, in application we could pull it out and, like you said, make it real big on a poster or put it big on a one of those trucks or whatever.
Yep.
So I don't want both of the ends to look like that, but I do want them to look connected. I'm not being very precise with this, but I do want them to look connected, so
Yep.
rounding the same corners or
And a lot of times having contrast kind of shows that one is special, right? And that's the mark, and that's like the thing. That's like, oh, there's two ends in here, but one of them is really special. And on that point, again, we're just telling stories from design history today. There's an artist, if you want to check him out, his name is Cassandre. And one of the things that he did in his work is he would use smaller things to show how big something was. And so just like we're showing one end that's a little more normal to show how special the other end is, he would do like a portrait of like this giant cruise ship with a tiny little tugboat that was moving it. And so if you only had the cruise ship, you're like, okay, that's a big ship. But then you show it in scale with a tiny little tugboat and it makes the ship look huge. And so sometimes if you want something to communicate, you have to have something else that communicates the opposite to like help support it. And so I love that we're paying attention to that in this mark.
now I'm totally just being off the rails with whatever I'm rounding. I don't really know yet.
Why not? Yes, Bryce.
Like I said, this could be a full day in a different rounded corner.
Yes. Bryce Johnson says, what are the kinds of TikToks that kids would film in front of the T-Rex enclosure? Ingen Z. I love that.
I love that so much.
Bravo. Do we want to keep going here, chat? Do we want to try out one of the more like military Terminator, like 70s vibe ones?
Oh yeah, we've got two other things we haven't touched yet that we can look at pretty closely if we want.
Yeah, let's hop over.
And then I think, yeah, one of these guys maybe.
Yeah, let's go for that one just because it had some like interesting vibes that I think we could either factor in or out pretty quickly. Chat, do you have it? Yes, thank you for the link, Val. Val's on it today. Got that Cassandre link. Chat, what's interesting about this? To you, like, what's the interesting thing? For me, I think the interaction of the IN and the G are interesting in all of these, of like, what is the exploit of that? What's the next step?
And I know this was looking a little like too NASA or too wild, but I still think this guy maybe is kind of cool. And I wonder if we pair him with, what if it's even this type? Like a chunkier version of this? Maybe it's wrong, but
Oh, maybe.
maybe it's wrong. And then we round a little bit of it. Well, that white shape can go away.
It's not wrong.
I wonder if there's a way to make this a little thicker and round some of it
Yeah.
so that it feels connected. Now I'm all about rounding type.
That's
all I want to do.
There's no wrong answer. It's funny. My design feedback so many times to myself or to someone that's I'm art directing is like, I don't hate it. Like, you can't be sold on it yet, but you're like, I don't hate it. Like, there is potential here. Let's figure out what it is. And yeah, maybe like the E rounds out like the edge of that G, just like super roundy. And the G could be made into an open mouth. I think we had a version of that. Oh, like a T-Rex teeth kind of thing. I think that we want to steer away from being too dino-y.
Yeah, but I like the dino undertones.
Yes.
I like the.
What a weird
I also
thing
think
to
there's
say.
something. Yeah, I like the dino.
That's our
undertones.
job. It's like
There's
it's
something
very
that
valid.
feels very like pixely too, which feels like technology, and like this little break here, and it feels almost like a raster pixel image, or I don't know. There's something kind of fun about that contrasted with this roundness that feels techy in a way that I think is interesting.
I agree.
And maybe it needs to be closer. Got 15 pixel break. Maybe.
I cannot stop sneezing right now. Yeah,
You're allergic to the forest.
I think that that's it. I think that I'm allergic to this forest. Chat and John, if I just go quiet, I'm probably sneezing. So if it's jarring and suddenly there's silence, I'm
That
off camera sneezing.
actually feels kind of interesting.
Oh yeah. It definitely is giving like Terminator vibes, but in a
Yeah, it
cool
is.
like but like in a cool like military way that I think we discussed as being a part of one of these brands. It doesn't feel like aggressive, but it feels future military tech, which is technically what InGen is.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely had, if just to refresh us, they definitely had some of these things. And maybe it's good to have an option that's not too friendly, because I know we talked about doing a little friendly, but maybe there is like that weird military version. Just
Yep.
when we talk about testing a client, to see how they react, maybe they don't want
Oh,
to lose that. Maybe they want to scare you.
yes, and great inspiration. Chat is pointing out is the Sega Genesis logo.
Oh, I like that. I have a separate screen where every time you talk about something,
Yep.
I'm off screen looking it up to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
the Sega Genesis, and maybe we incorporate some of those like slash lines into it, or maybe it's like this is the more pixely version of that kind of idea. 'Cause, yeah, those are really interesting letter forms.
Yeah, I like that.
And again, using very simple shapes to just like map out where everything is in the spacing. That's just my favorite thing to do in Illustrator, because you know that it's not like, okay, cool, the like guides are lining up and it's like the same amount of ticks. It's like, nope, this rectangle fits here and there. We win.
Yeah, I'm never gonna stop that.
It really does feel like the ultimate hack.
I forget. Can you put math into these to make it work? Can you do a divide too? No.
Yes
Oh,
is
that's
the answer.
position. You can, right?
Yes. So where are you trying to do math?
So if I take the width and then want to divide it by two,
Yes, but you have to only do numbers.
like so this, da da.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, pro tip, chat. If you ever want to do like a certain size of something, or if you are doing like an 8.5 by 11, but I need it to be a half sheet, you can do math in those ports. You can do like times four, or whatever, and it helps you scale things up. So, like if I'm doing a mock-up of like a large sign, I'll do it at 1/4 scale, and then make a new file that is those numbers times four, and it will do the math for me.
So this is a quarter of that, and I knew I wanted it to be in, but like, why make it just randomly in? Let's have a nice
Precise.
even number there, and
Yes.
then maybe this little measurement here, is this the same? Oh, it's so close.
Oh, and maybe it becomes um
Does that matter? Is that a thing we want? Maybe it's too small, but
it's
worth checking
interesting.
out.
And I wonder if that like could be gosh, that mark is so cool. Like just by itself, I think it's so interesting.
Well, and so I'm already starting to think through applications a little bit as you're working on these. When you start to see what it could be, you kind of see what the system might be. And this one is definitely just a big chunky icon. Like this is that G. This guy right here, gigantic.
Yep, and
That's what this one is.
yeah, that's like the app
That's all you need.
icon, that's the favicon, that's the
Uh-huh.
social media, like that's just
Yeah.
it.
Maybe when you, whoa, what I do? I am so bad with new computers. I have the touch screen at the top of my keyboard, and I constantly am hitting things,
Yes.
and windows just pop open and things move around. Have not adjusted yet.
Yeah, I wonder if that cutout happens in other places, if that's just like unique
Yeah.
to that one. Like, how does that idea carry over into the other type? And it could carry over into the top left of the E, the top right of the N, that like there's this little cutout on all the pieces, or it could be like it just is unique to that little mark right there.
I think I think that's a great way to frame it. We can look at both kind of next to each other. So
And
now we're using the same measurement.
yeah, Nuno from
Interesting.
Portugal. Hello. Thanks for joining us on the stream from Portugal. Super cool.
It's gotta be like 9, 10 at night in Portugal right now.
Yeah, let's see. Let us know. I love being producer on these shows because I can just Google stuff and pretend like I know things. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's 8:54 p.m. in Portugal, I believe, because you guys can't see my screen. Does the math entry function work on iPad version of Illustrator? Maybe. I'm actually not sure on that. Anyone with an iPad, maybe Val can check it out. Actually, is my iPad within reach?
I have never used the iPad version of Illustrator. That makes me excited to try that out.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, if anyone has an iPad, can you check and see if the math works there? But yeah, Illustrator on iPad's awesome. There are new features that are always coming. They're always working on it. I don't remember what has launched and what has not. So there are things coming which are very exciting. All right, so now we're playing with cutouts. And again, this is just asking what is the thing, right? Like asking
Yeah,
the character of this of like, what do you want to be? Like, what do you want to be remembered for?
yeah, and it is different, right? You might have a full word mark if you have it everywhere, or do you want that icon thing to be special on its own?
Yep.
I'm not sure.
And we've got
Because you're right,
about,
that could just live as like a little pin or a giant
yeah,
mural. Oh, I like it. I want to pick it up.
we've got about 40 minutes left, just for reference of work time. Then we're going to do the artist spotlight, and then we'll come back and maybe recap everything. But
Yeah,
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 let's
yeah,
keep going
yeah.
and see what we can land here. And maybe we just land with some really good logo marks and then toss some color and mock them up. Um, and like that's kind of where we land. Man, there is something so interesting here.
Yeah, how does everyone feel about the three versions on the left?
So let's do some letters. A on
Oh
top.
yeah,
So A, B, and C. Which one do
this
we
is my
prefer?
favorite.
It's really great.
This is how I structure, like if I'm working in a slides deck or something.
Yes.
Label everything, and then it's
Yes.
A.1, A.2.
Chat, let us know A, B, or C, which one that we are leaning toward. Early on, it looks like some people are leaning to B a lot. They're liking the little cutouts. Um, okay, let's do. I hate it. Immediately, I hate it. But like, let's like try it. Um, no, I'm not even gonna do it because it doesn't work. I was gonna say maybe extend
Oh,
the
I want.
eye up so the eye is the cutout, but it totally kills it and doesn't work at all. Okay, literally every
Oh,
person is saying B. All right, I have
everyone
no other
says so.
feedback
We're
from
here.
me. Yes, lots
All
of
right.
B. And our friend Rob Zilla is back in the chat. Rob, we did work on doing a little tilt on that N earlier, kind of refining it based on your suggestion. And now we've moved on to a kind of chunky, more retro kind of vibe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Let's
Ooh,
start to just grab things that we like, maybe.
yep.
See
Yeah,
where
let's
we're
start
at.
refining and then we can start getting into color, kind of pulling everything together. And Robert, that's a great idea. Does the commenting function in Adobe Cloud allow for voting by reviewers? I don't believe that that is a function, but I think that's a great idea. You should submit that suggestion to Adobe. I believe Val, if you can find that link, I think it's uservoice.something.com. You can submit your ideas, and like they do recap those. I literally was in a meeting last week where they're like, here's what people are saying, here's what we're working on. So they definitely listen to your suggestions, and I think that is a great idea to allow voting in those Creative Cloud reviews. Yes, Val is making a note about the comment. Yeah, that's one of the greatest ideas I've seen for kind of integration of that Creative Cloud. It's funny how this one, some of them we haven't worried about the type, but this one somehow feels like it has to have it. Like it has to have type
Yeah.
with it, or else it kind of is just like floating there.
Yeah, it doesn't, you don't know really what it is unless it's got a word aligned with it.
Yep.
I think. Oh. I wonder if there's a more uniform rounded. Let's look at something with a little Again, this could be a full day, but something with a little uniform line.
Yes. Yeah. It feels so like it's got like Logitech vibes. It's got like uh it feels like something that this is so relevant right now. It feels like a company that is like pumping money into the stock market right now. Like it just has that like vibe.
Has everyone in chat been following the American stock market stories today?
Oh yeah, it's been totally insane. I've just had my phone open on stocks pretty much the entire day. What a fun time. Yes, and Val, as a streamer, having functionality to directly interact with chat like that would be great, or alternately have a variation function that includes voting when I share Creative Cloud files. I agree so much. Um, we do a lot of stuff on a lot of my streams to where we interact live with the chat. And it would be awesome to have that kind of review and even sending to clients so that you could see who's voting for what and who wants what. Okay. Yeah, so again, we're in the refining portion of this, I think, and we'll maybe do in let's see here. I don't know, like 20-ish minutes. Kind of pull together, hear all the options that we think are interesting, let you chat pick 3 of them, and then we'll put some color, we'll mock them up, and kind of land on a here's the final presentation kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think it's like right now, as I'm laying stuff next to each other down here, I'm trying to just like feel what we don't have. Like we have a lot of caps, we have a lot of like aggressive things. So that's why I was like, do one of these like, is it like a maybe more quiet,
Huh.
a little more medical sciencey feeling vibe over here, maybe? So just as like contrast, I think it's always good to have a little bit of everything.
That's such an interesting take, is to look at your pitch and not look at like, cool, we have all this stuff, it's going to be amazing, of like, what don't we have here? What is the voice? Who is the character or the person or the mark that like isn't represented here? And it's interesting that's like, cool, this is all like bold and boisterous and like in your face. What's like the relaxed kind of pulled back version of that? And then we jumped right into there. And hello, Scott. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. A little late, but not too late. We're about an hour in, so you're just in time for the good part. We've been doing a lot of process, and we're about to get into really refining, editing things up. So welcome. And if you're just joining us, Scott, hello, 1. 2, we are working on an imaginary brand from our friends at Jurassic Park, Ingen, which is a genetics company that's helped engineer these dinosaurs. We're giving them a rebrand. So a little bit of military, a little bit of technology, a lot of bit of dinos. And so we're kind of working on that.
A lot of bit of dinos.
A lot of bit of dinos.
I love that. What does this do? Who knows? I don't even really know what this is, but
yeah, it's giving me a little bit of like Bumble vibes.
Oh yeah. As I look up their logo.
Maybe the top one, maybe they come closer and the top like data becomes the dot on the eye. Like it stretches all the way over and hits the dot of that eye, maybe.
See, I took off the eye and it felt wrong, but I knew there was a relationship. Maybe that's the relationship.
Yeah.
Is this the there?
Ooh, and then yeah, maybe it becomes that like the helix is kind of coming around the letter a little bit. That's interesting.
There's actually something very cool there.
All right, we're back in it, guys. We hit a little slow there, and now we're back downhill.
We're in something.
Make sure you stick around, y'all. In about a half hour, we are going to be doing an artist spotlight. Today, we're looking at Manny Hernandez on Behance. It's going to be a great time. There's some amazing work there, so we're going to highlight that. Take a look in about a half hour, so stick around for that here on the stream on Adobe Live. It's so
you're killing it with the voice. It's
I love
really
those transitions.
Although I can't stop thinking of the Disney Channel now.
Yep. Let the bottom line stagger to the left, says Robzilla.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It definitely has Helix vibes.
Does it look too much like music when you go like this?
Yeah, I think it was better when it was a little bit tighter and it wasn't like fully pushed to the edges because it gave it like a little motion of it swooping in a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Hmm. It's kind of cool. You
Yeah.
know what this also makes me think of more now is yeah,
Oh yeah, our
this guy
friend Mr.
here.
DNA.
Uh-huh.
He's the investor version of Mr. DNA. Like he's
He's the
grown up,
I love that.
joined corporate America, and now Mr. DNA is this.
These are all the kids who went and saw Mr. DNA when they're younger now have nostalgia and they want
Exactly.
to incorporate it.
Yes. All right, so let's go ahead and take the concepts that we like and maybe start playing around with some colors, start refining them, putting them into
Love
reverse
that.
two colors, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and see what happens. And yes, Rob, thank
Yeah.
you for the feedback. Rob is an incredible illustrator and designer, and you have given feedback so many times on this stream. So thank you so much for your feedback and thoughts.
So helpful.
Always
This is
helpful.
so fun too to design with a group. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Let's take this guy.
Dino DNA. Man, it's just stuck in my head. I need to go watch the video, like the Mr. DNA video after this.
You could spend a whole day going down a Jurassic Park rabbit hole, and I highly suggest it.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like we got 4 things.
And they all have different voices and feels, which I think is going to factor into once we start thinking about color and application. Where do we want to start? Which one is speaking to you the most?
I wonder if we go back to, I feel like we all have a soft spot for this guy.
I agree. I feel like that's where we start because it's like if we run out of time, that's the one that I don't want to get cut. That I'm like, all right, let's get this in, and then if we run out of time with the others, whatever. But let's try to get that one in to see what happens when we really start giving it some personality with some color.
Now I went through and was just pulling some random colors that I thought were maybe interesting. And again, these can change, but it just as a starting point, because I knew we were going to be limited in time, I thought green is something that hasn't been used, but if you're looking at organic stuff and DNA, might be interesting. And blue, I think, is where they kind of were, but maybe there's a punchier blue, you know, a little bit brighter that would be fun to play with. So
yeah, that little Barbasol nod.
Barbasol. Oh my gosh, you're good at all these brand comparisons.
It just happens in my brain.
Barbasol's got a little red in it too, though, right?
Yep. Yeah.
We'll make sure to keep that out of there.
Nothing like a red, white, and blue secret government agency that messes with DNA.
Yeah, right? Nothing can go wrong there. So my first thought was I need to see if this holds up as a single color, or if does it still look like an N if you highlight that shape, and does it matter if it still looks like an N? I don't know. Or
Maybe the IN is in one color and then the GEN is in another.
Exactly what I was going to do.
Yep.
I was going to look at this versus, you know, maybe this is all the blue feels more fun, so maybe the icon should be that one, and then some of that. And then, of course, you got to do, you have to do one where...
Yes, you're like required to do another one at that point.
Yeah, we have to do one where this is dark.
Interesting. All right, chat.
Do you want to explore
a green version as well?
Yeah. Oh, I think we definitely do.
And then we can do an expanded alphabet choosing options. We'll have a lot of options to choose from.
I love that. I love that. Let's make this, as you can see, depending on what size I'm working in, my copy paste can get a little weird in the shape it starts to take on.
Yeah.
So let's align this a little bit better.
Oh, I'm the same way, that it's like everything's all over and we're just going to group these and then click in the line and make it figure it out.
And I can distribute things so it looks like it's organized. Oh, how beautiful. I know what I'm doing. There we go. Let's just use this size still. Yeah, I think that color's interesting. Maybe it needs the
Oh.
darker. It's almost like a minty, weird. Uh,
Oh, I think the
hmm.
combo of those is going to be really cool and like play with the kind of like foresty vibe of.
Yeah, it's like Dino without having to say it too explicitly. But and then when you look at that icon, it definitely looks dino-y now.
Yeah. And I wonder if, yeah, it's dark on the front and light on the back maybe when it gets to that bottom one. Like it flips from what the other one is.
Dark on the. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Voodoo Val says, what is the alignment function called? I think it's just align. And
Yeah,
maybe,
it's right here. The align, and you've got all these little pictures, which is so nice because I don't like words.
yes, exactly. It's like, cool, I
I
want it to
want
do this,
pictures.
please.
I want
Click.
it to go up or down,
Yeah,
this
this
way.
one.
But my favorite is distribute, where you can
Yes.
distribute things evenly because it really helps. Oh yeah, okay, so I should do the same one. Come on, John. I was just too excited. I wasn't looking at my other column. So let's see. That's what you were talking about, flipping
Maybe
the
making
flipping the hierarchy
the
there.
eye as well. So it becomes like in Gen, like on that bottom one, the I and the N in that darker color.
Let's do it. Let's do it right here. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder if that. So the real reason I like these green combos is when this is on the background.
And Robert, is there a simple way to recolor? Yes, there is. Selecting your artwork and going to edit. Recolor artwork is a great tool. They actually just improved it at Adobe Max this year. You're able to go in to grab swatches, to grab color palettes, and it will reassign those colors in very quickly, and you can shuffle them around. There is a daily creative challenge that I actually believe is happening tomorrow that I'm teaching, and by that I mean I taught it in the past, to where we go over how to augment color. So tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm doing a whole lesson on how to recolor your artwork. So great question and very timely. Thanks, past Andrew. Oh, the reversed out with the white incorporated looks really good.
Yeah, I think I'm liking this green more as a background color and less over here. So I'm wondering, maybe there's something else we should be trying. Oh, also, why I had this lovely gray.
Chat, are we feeling green or blue? I mean, I think that we're leaning toward green, but let us know green or blue. Keep in mind this
Or
is in
yeah,
Jurassic Park. It is based on a tropical island. So people are saying it feels a little leafy, feels a little like green and natural. That's probably okay because we are in Hawaii.
we
Well,
are we
technically
are.
we're in Island Nubar, but we'll take Hawaii.
Wow.
We know. I
Yeah.
know. I took a trip to Hawaii like way long ago. It was like my senior trip in high school, and we did like this ATV tour. And the guy on the tour goes, "Hey, does this field look familiar?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about or whatever." And then he just goes, "They're flocking this way," and then just takes off. And I was like, "This is the field that they're like running through, and like all the dinosaurs." Like,
That's so cool.
green, 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 green. Yes,
Everybody's feeling green.
everyone loves the green.
All right. Whoa, stop. Stop, my computer. You have a mind of your own. I
Ooh.
like that.
I do too. All right, let's hop into another one, another option. I think those
Good
green
call.
options are cool. I think let's hop in and see some other colors, some other ideas, just so we can get through as much as we can.
Yeah. Do you want to take this guy?
Yeah, let's do it. I feel like that's the next
The
one that
next
is on
one.
my mind. Gosh, it feels so like metallic somehow. Like it's dying to be spray painted on something.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely like a brush metal version of this in the entrance to a lobby somewhere.
Yes.
I'm gonna do some fast little, whoa, pathfindering, just because it's not
Yep. Oh, that's
like
so true.
easier to play with.
It's like a cut metal. It's like backlit, and there's like someone like sitting at a desk in front of it, like, "Hello, welcome to Ingen."
Uh-huh. And
Yes.
they're not that friendly.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like, hi, why are you here?
Yeah, I don't think you'd get the job. You seem a little too friendly. But there's definitely someone at the desk.
Ooh, Voodoo Val has a great idea for this one. Is you could do a red and kind of yolky yellow for like dinosaur amber on this one. I think that would like a
I
red
like
and
that.
yellow, like a really good kind of vintagey, could be interesting.
I like that a lot.
And yes,
Uh,
Chopper, using the shape builder is another way to do that, to kind of cut stuff out. Shape builder is basically like a drawing version of Pathfinder, is the best way I can describe it for those of you that haven't used it.
huh.
Great resource. It is a little bit of a learning curve, and I believe it's relatively new. And so if you're used to Pathfinder like me, I almost never use shape builder, but then I've gotten in the habit of like trying to incorporate it. I'm like, oh shoot, this is really cool. Why don't I use this more?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually played with that, so
it's
that's good to know.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those, like, if you're seasoned professional and have been a while, you have a way that you do that, and then you realize that there's this like new different way. And I go in and out of like, this is awesome, I'm gonna keep using it, and then like I'm gonna be safe in my Pathfinder little bubble. And
Gotta be a
Robzilla
different
wants to
red.
see this one on a skew as well when we get to doing more options of it.
I like that. It's always good to be pushing for the skew, I
Oh
think.
yeah, man, the vibration on those colors is gorgeous.
Well, I like this idea of I wonder how bright this guy needs to be. Oh,
I think having like that
oh,
super contrasty saturated, yeah. And I wonder if the cutout has that color in it as well, of the G, like that little box up there.
oh,
Right?
interesting.
Like it's an extra little color pop in there. And yes, Robert, can you 3D extrude to see what it would look like? Yes, we could. Probably not today. We probably don't have enough time, but there are great 3D tools in Illustrator to do
I
that.
like that idea though,
I
and I
think that I
wonder if
hate
there's
the
like
extra
a.
piece up there.
I'm gonna leave it there then, just to shame you, just
Yes,
to
please
remind you
do.
that you.
Everyone, behold my terrible idea. Bask in its
No, there
glory.
are. It's only a bad idea if you don't explore it.
It's
There's no
true.
bad ideas right now. I wonder if so. I'm trying to get like a. I wonder if there's like a slate blue with a yellow accent too,
Oh yeah.
like a little more chromatic, like boom maybe, and then a really bright. I always feel like yellow feels either military or construction or aggressive
Yep.
in a fun way.
I feel like the reverse on
Oh,
this one is gonna look really cool too.
oh, I like that idea. That's good. Reverse of the one I'm on now.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Then I also wanted to see just for the hell of it because I like this minty color. How that guy feels.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh.
Interesting.
Let's do. I kind of like the scintillation there, and then let's try this one too. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho, ho.
I'm not mad about it. And I
It's
do
like
like the minty kind of green. A lot of people are saying olive green, kind of camo, military, but I like the twist on like that minty green, that it is still in like the military zone, but not just like straight up army green. That it's got that like fun little mint to it.
yeah, it feels a little. It feels a little spice to it. It feels a little current.
Yep. Oh, and people are definitely latching on to it could be different colors for each different department. I agree, that's super fun.
Oh, I love that.
Let's try
Yeah.
this too. And we're gonna get stuck here and probably run out of time, but I'll make sure we come back and finish the others. Let's try one to where the in and the en are black, and like the bubble shape becomes the color. So like the in is just like cut out, or is maybe black, or but like the bubble of the G becomes the color pop.
Gotcha.
And maybe that's just like the logo version of it cropped out, but like maybe it could be interesting. Oh gosh, behold my terrible ideas. This isn't gonna work. No.
No, I think that's cool actually. I wonder if instead of as a word mark, that's what it looks like when you
Yeah, and maybe
have it
the
on
E and
its
the N
own.
go away. Yeah, so it's just that like that's the favicon, that's the social media thing, and then it
I was
can
just gonna
cycle
put it in a
through.
little Instagram circle and see
Yes.
how it feels.
Yes.
That feels kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, and then it changes color for different departments. Like it works really well as a little thing, and it's like, oh, NG. That like Ingen is one thing, and it's like, oh yeah, NG is like their like internal
Ah,
service.
yeah. Oops. Let's make sure it's grouped before I do anything wild. Oh, I got my little. There we go. My zoom controls keep trying to lay over the top nav when I go up to to
Yes.
touch things, and then I get freaked out and don't know what to do. I quite like that actually. Maybe these guys.
Yep. Robzilla says lightning. It's a good feedback. This man, this looks cool, and even that green and yellow, like the mint and yellow, feels really cool.
Yeah.
And Robert,
Hmm.
would you keep the ones that didn't work, mark them that they didn't work, so you don't revisit already rejected ideas? Is it useful to have like different versions of things just to keep everything? What's your opinion
Yeah,
on that?
I think absolutely. Honestly, the fact that this file name, underscore day two, I've even got all of day one in here. If we went back and we're like, oh my God, remember that one that Spartan helmet that we talked about yesterday?
Yep.
That could randomly become important, and I love having everything archived. So if like let's say this was the color we wanted to move with, it's always vectors are the smallest files. You can just move it off to the side and keep it
Yep.
all, and it's there if you need it.
100%. And especially in explorations like this, I can't tell you how many times I've sold a logo that was a reject of an idea that I was working on for something else. Literally save everything, because you never know when it can come back. That I had a client that was doing beekeeping, and I think that like I ended up presenting like one or two, and then the ideas that I was like, that's not going to work, ended up going to other bee people in the future. And so always keep those ideas, because if they're on an artboard and you're working and it's just a concept or a sketch, like literally just save everything.
And you were working on a beekeeping brand?
I've done a couple.
That's
So
so cool.
I've done beekeeping. I've done a couple honey brands. For some reason, I can't escape the bees.
Whoa, that is awesome. And then, we were talking about how you have how you present one of these. I would definitely have a page like this where you just lay it out in kind of every option, whether it's maybe all in a color, the full color version, the icon version,
Yep. And
maybe
this
a
is the
little
equivalent
reverse out version.
when we've talked about like the logos being a person having a personality. This is like the casting of like, oh, let's see you in different outfits, and like try this line this way. Like it's really presenting as much as you can about the logo, about the mark, to really try to sell the client on how it works. And hello, Gus Martin in the chat, the man himself, hanging out with us. Thanks for joining us, Gus. If you are just joining us, like Gus, we are doing branding for Ingen, which is the DNA company, genetics company from Jurassic Park, which we are here in Jurassic Park today, doing some research. So we're working on that, trying to rebrand them and figure out what genetics looks like with a new logo, with a new brand. Yeah, that's cool. I love the like military nod, but mixed with like tech with that mint.
Yeah. It's honestly, this was the one. I don't know. For those of you who were here yesterday, as I was doing this G, I was like, this is the worst. This is not a good idea. And then it kind of went somewhere cool.
Yep.
And I think we do the same thing for, this is what I'm very excited about with this guy. If we have time, which I think we have a little bit. Let's throw this guy down here. This is what this little icon looks like on its own.
Oh.
For the sake of timing, let's just use the same colors. Maybe reverse it.
Ooh. It's so good.
Is that a good sign?
It's so good.
Right? That feels so cool.
It feels so cool.
And then I think we do the same.
Yeah, it's so good. We've got like 10 minutes left. Can we see this with a gradient on that back one? I just feel like it's screaming for like a super like in there gradient.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so where am I looking at? Oh, that's, I was like, what's going on? What's happening? Why can't I edit you? What's happening?
Good old freeforms. Oh, go ahead and over on the actual gradient, those points, you can edit those individual points. Yep. So just double click on the point and it will, you can edit those.
See, this is how you can tell someone who's been using Illustrator for quite a while.
Yep.
Is that these new things are a little hard.
Yeah, select that, and then up at the top, yep, there you go. Got it. And then you can click and hold the eyedropper if you want to grab a color as well. Over on the left there. A little bit more left. Yeah, there you go. Ooh, so it's already happening. Oh, it's already happening.
So eyedropper here, this guy. Oh, this is feeling very cool.
Right? I'm into it. Ooh, yes, chat is loving this. And Scott Gordon, great question. How would you present this exploration in a portfolio? It would be great to put in a portfolio. And if you want to find out more information, here I am again. This is going to be a commercial. If you want to find out more information about organizing your portfolio, tune into Office Hours every Friday. So tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. right here on Adobe Live. There also is a great catalog of old episodes. We spent an entire fall semester telling you and giving advice on how to organize your portfolios. So check out Office Hours here on Adobe Live. Great resource for how to lay out your portfolio. Yeah, this is a vibe.
Like we need one more little dark spot, maybe down here. Oh. I understand how these gradient mesh things work, but I also don't. So the most fun is just like moving things around and going, ooh.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. So much of the design process
the
is
computer.
Like, how does this? Yeah. And yes, there has been a lot of talk of Ingen happening with that reading as an R. I guess. I don't think that there's much that we can do to combat that at this point. I think we just deal with it.
Yeah, I think right, maybe playing, maybe that's like a thing that it gets to a point where you can test it,
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing is that, so now we've done this so fast, which is great, but we've been staring at it for so long.
That's like true. Yeah, we have been looking at it for 2 days.
For a little amount of time.
And so presenting this to the client, it may be that like, oh, it reads as R, or like immediately maybe like, oh yeah, no, it's totally an N. Like they don't even see that. And so we have been looking at it way longer than they would. So maybe it's an R. We're going to pretend like it's not just because we don't have to investigate. I think it's a sick mark, and I think it works really well. And Scott Gordon, Office Hours is on 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Fridays. Yeah. And if you guys want to, you can follow all these people. We're going to do a little Behance highlight in about 5-10 minutes here, but I want to point out some places that you can follow along. You can follow John Olson, our designer here today, over on his website, just hellojohnolson.com, which is an Adobe portfolio site. And you also can follow over on Instagram as well, just hello John Olson on all the platforms. I believe that there also is probably a link somewhere floating around that you can follow. Somewhere near us. I'm sure Voodoo Val will be dropping that in there. And there should be a link as well to my Behance, which if you want to tune in after this stream, about an hour after this stream at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are doing a Super Mario 64 stream where we have an artist who's going to be animating and designing alongside as I play video games. So make sure you follow along and check that out. It's going to be so much fun.
So cool.
Oh gosh, this is looking rad. All right, so we got one more to go. Let's go ahead and check out. We have that last concept. What's the last concept that we have?
We've got two of them here.
Oh, those guys. Yep.
And I think maybe the one on the right would be cool because we had a lot of feedback from both you and the chat on that one.
Yes.
So let's
looking so
keep
rad.
Moving stuff.
And to change artboards and copy artboards, you just Shift O is the artboard tool, and then you can just click and drag, holding Alt or Option to make a copy of that artboard super easily.
That's my favorite one.
Oh, dude, when I realized the power of like artboards and what you can do with artboards, I was like, I've just been working wrong this whole time. Like I've been so inefficient, and I'm like, oh, it's so easy to just create artboards.
Okay, maybe this is where that red color comes in. Do we have...
Oh yeah, that red is delicious.
I wonder if this pairs with something.
And it's got that softness that we didn't have anywhere else. Like it definitely has the vibe that we want.
Yeah.
And yes, Voodoo Val, gaming and streaming with design, 100%. Hit me up. Let's get you on. Let's party. We can do some Street Fighter.
This is a whole new genre I never thought about, and I'm really into it.
I hope
Gaming,
that
design,
it's cool, and I
Street
hope
Fighter.
that it works.
I think we know it's going to be cool. Whether it works will be fun to find out.
That's true. It's
going to be cool
fun.
either way.
Yeah, it's like it could be a train wreck, but it's going to be like a circus train wreck where like there's like confetti and clowns. Ooh, man, it's so soft and welcoming and like the opposite of the other options, which is really cool to be able to present to a client and say, hey, here are 3 different voices and they're all completely different from each other.
Wonder if there's a color thing with the dots. Do they get darker? Do they get...
You know what I see happening here that I love so much is those dots being animated and moving, like slowly just like going back and forth. Yeah, I love when a logo has motion to it, like you just see without it moving.
Or I wonder if there's... I didn't need to copy that, but whatever. Could even be cool doing... Let's see what color this is. Wait, no, this guy.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Maybe this is dumb. We don't know, but let's try.
I mean, I think that that's cool. I'm definitely into that. I think that that's really cool. It's got some really, really nice...
Maybe it's one, maybe it's all of them.
Yep.
I don't know.
Oh, and that's a really fun idea to just at least do one to give it a shot. Someone in chat says, let's pull the colors from Mr. DNA.
Oh, love it. Let's do that.
Great idea. Great idea. And we've got a couple minutes before we're going to hop into our artist highlight for today. But I think that it's a really fun idea, chat. My creative senses are tingling right now. Yes, we are all on the same page of like, what if we pull the color scheme from Mr. DNA? What a fun idea.
And it's actually not that far off from where we are.
Chat, you're getting gold stars today. A+ for everyone in chat. Y'all win.
This up, we'll We'll take another one down.
And it's really great to be able to grab color schemes from images. You can use the eyedropper tool. You also can use in that recolor artwork panel that just got added. You can actually grab palettes from images pretty easily using the color picker tool, I think it's called in there. It's hidden away in that new tool. Again, tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. here on Adobe Live, we'll be covering all of those things in an Illustrator tutorial if you want to tune in for that to get deep into all the recolor artwork. Yes, Mr. DNA. And that's Dino DNA.
Let's see, and I think we gotta warm this guy up a little bit.
So good. I love it. And it's cool to be able to pitch to a client and like have a reference to be like, oh, there is a reason for this, and the reason is, you know, in the past you've used Mr. DNA, here he is, but like updated to a new version. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
I wonder if maybe all the dots, we keep the dots being those colors.
Oh yeah, flip them up, that light blue.
I don't know if all this is. Nope.
Oh yeah, with the dark blue. Ooh.
It feels very sciencey, that dark blue color.
I love that. You know what? This very quickly became my favorite one.
It's definitely a vibe, right? It's a different thing, which is nice.
Yeah. All right. So
it could also be like a whole series of colors, you know?
That's
like
true. It could
the other one.
Variant. So if you want to keep working on this, go ahead and keep working on it in the background. I'm going to flip over and do our Behance highlight. Take a look at an amazing, incredible, awesome, great, incredible, amazing, perfect, awesome designer. That was me stalling as I moved windows away from where I need to show you. So let's take a look, and I want to show you all in chat, and I want you to go follow someone on Behance, and that is right here, our friend Manny Hernandez. And Voodoo Val, I believe, has the link in chat. We can all head over there and take a look right now. And I'm going to kind of just walk through as John works in the background silently. I'm going to walk through and show you some of Manny's work. So Manny is a graphic designer, typographer, illustrator. He is over in Providence, Rhode Island. Hello from the other side of the United States. And let's hop in here and look at some stuff. So I love texture. I love type. I love stuff that's like experimental and really like pushes the edge. And there's some personal work in here that is amazing that I want to show you guys. And oh, somebody literally just asked, I'm working on a personal project to pump into my portfolio. Do I have to have a portfolio on Behance? You don't have to, but it's a great idea. And you're able to shift your Behance portfolio and profile into a profile that you can basically use as a website. So checking this out, this is some work from our friend Manny. Again, I love this experimental throw things together and like somehow balance it. If you're looking for reference, again, from history, we're giving you links. It's David Carson is the one that you're looking for. He was kind of the poster child of the 90s, kind of just threw things on like this, and said there's a big difference between readability and legibility. That sometimes you can just feel it and sometimes you need to be able to read it. So this is sick. Appreciated. So go to this profile, click some appreciations. Let's go ahead and look at some custom type and lettering. And John and I were talking before this, and we both absolutely loved the way that some of the stuff was just really refined, and then some of it is very conceptual. And so I love seeing like the hand painted dunk that's right here, right? That's super refined, very precise. And then going down and looking at some of the work that's a little more conceptual, like this, that has quad. And this is in that Bauhaus style that we were talking about before. This is, Yeah, this is Bauhaus. And again, if you want to look at some more of this style and a little bit of what John was referencing in the new school, another designer for you, Theo von Dussberg, another great designer that worked in that style. Um, oh gosh, this K is so good. And again, sketches. Sketches are so good to show in your portfolio, especially when they're this good. Like if you can sell a sketch as the final project, like do it. Sometimes you don't even need to show the final product if the sketch is this good. Man, the pairings, it just feels so right. Nice, some kind of Art Deco type in here. Let's take a look at this for the record project as well. So this is something he designed 24. Oh, let's read. For the record project, attempts to revive the appreciation for album art by transforming album cover icons into redesigned LP covers. Manny Hernandez designed 24 album covers for jazz artists, including Winston Marsalis, Arturo Sandoval, Esperanza Spalding, Chick Corea, Sean Jones, and more. If there's a Vince Guaraldi one in here, I'm gonna love it. I love the emotion. We've talked about this as we've worked on the work with John that he's working on today, that it's all about emotion and feeling and vibe. And especially with jazz, you just understand what you're going to hear. Oh gosh. And the conceptual work on some of these is awesome. Ooh, some torn paper. If you want some reference for torn paper, the beggar staffs, or looking for Saul Boss, great options to find some inspiration. Oh, this is very Saul Boss. So Saul Boss work is very related to jazz in my brain. If you saw Soul, there's a lot of that work that feels like Saul Boss did a lot of poster designs, lots of movie titles kind of stuff, taking reference here. This is incredible work, Manny. If you're watching, bravo, good job. Oh, I need to give an appreciation there. Appreciate. I just want to be appreciated. You are appreciated here, Manny. So go ahead, everyone, go to the profile, give him a follow, leave some feedback, leave some love, and let's look at this XOXO print. Love the hearts. And we played a little bit around with this when working with John, is sometimes it's as simple as figuring out how can we take an icon or a symbol that has meaning and leverage it as something else. And I love that he's taken that heart and turned it into something else that becomes this awesome little print here. So go check that out. Oh, they actually printed them. That's so fun. Let me make sure that this doesn't have music on it. There we go. Sweet. An actual print. This is always great too. If you have work, being able to show it in the real world is so cool, and it just takes it to that new level. Great job.
That print is beautiful.
Right?
And I didn't realize Behance has like a stories feature, because I clicked on his profile photo, and there's like a video of him opening that print up, and it just looks incredible.
Yep. Yes, Behance stories coming everywhere. Behance also some great live streaming features coming, which we're actually covering tomorrow in office hours from iPad and iPhone. I'm gonna look at this Dada movement poster here. Dada is my favorite thing in design, my favorite movement that happened, and so it was all about like shock and protest, kind of getting in people's faces. We've got nice, lots of work here. This is oh gosh, the urinal photo by Tristan.
Duchamp.
Oh yes, you're right, Duchamp. Yep, it was Duchamp. That's the one. So Duchamp was kind of the leader of the Dada movement. Tristan Tazzara was in there as well. Love this work. Really capturing the essence of what Dada was all about, just shock and protest and kind of getting in people's faces. And this kind of collage is core as well. So great job. Love this art. Great job, Manny. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for being our Otter Spotlight here on Adobe Live. Just make you come back to that. So let's hop back in with our friend John here and see where we've gone. Got about 10 minutes left in the stream, so let's check in and see where we are with our Ingen. Oh my goodness, this has very quickly become my favorite one.
So many color options. I kind of like, as I'm looking at this image here, I really like this background like blue white line pattern, and I wonder if that like vibes with this here, if there's a thing. I don't know. There's something going on. There's so many different color options here, though.
Yeah, it's rad. Let's go ahead. Let's explore a little bit more here and kind of get the presentation in for the next couple of minutes. And then we're going to go back and we're going to look from the very beginning to the very end. I promised that we would do this yesterday. It's always good to see where we started and then literally track through, because there were ideas that I remember us talking about and they're like, cool, this is not working, but I can't wait till the end of day 2. We can go back and figure out why it wasn't working and how we solved that problem. So we're going to get the presentations in here for this last one. And then we'll go back and show everything. But if you're just joining us, this is a great time to join us. We are doing branding for Ingen, which is an imaginary company. They do DNA, they do genetics for Jurassic Park. And so we are here in the jungle again for Jurassic Park. And we are rebranding them. They are a technology company. They're not a dinosaur company. And so we were keeping that in mind. We did competitive analysis. And now we're working on the final presentation to kind of pitch the ideas and the concepts to them. I believe we have 3 concepts that we worked on over the last few days to pitch to them. Oh, that icon's strong.
It feels nice on its own, doesn't it?
Yep. And how do you do a color palette? Great. A question from Mateus, I believe. What's your approach to doing colors, John?
So I feel like I enter color palettes in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's kind of, I'm glad we actually pulled the Mr. DNA one, because sometimes it's like sampling from a photo or from a reference piece. I feel like color palettes are the one things that it's cool to steal from anywhere, because the form changes so much when you use colors that, you know, you can go to what's the website where you can?
Yes, I was gonna say. So color.adobe.com is where you can go to.
That's the new name.
Yep.
Leverage. Didn't it used to have a different name?
It used to be Cooler. Yeah, Kuler.
That's what I was trying to think of. Yes.
Yep. And it's actually integrated into your swatches panel now. If you click on swatches, there's a little icon that looks like a lens flare. And if you click on that, you can actually leverage color palette. So down at the bottom there's like a little lens flare. Yep.
Oh.
And so in here, you can go to that Explore tab and you can actually type in like a keyword and it will show you color palettes that have been generated by users and you can sync them to your swatches. Yes. Oh, absolute mind blow. Yes.
Cool.
It is so good for finding if I'm working on like a fall thing. I can literally just type in fall and it will come up with like 100 different color palettes and I just find the one that I want. And then you can click on those dots and add it to your swatches and you're good to go.
That's so great. Wow. I'm learning so much today.
Right? We're ready. And again, if you want to join us tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. right here on Behance Live, we're going to cover all of this in depth. It is a full half hour of me going through how to use colors. It just so happens that's the creative replay for tomorrow. So happened last week, but you can tune in and check that out. Oh my gosh, that like bright blue is so electric.
Cool, right?
It's electric. Dun, 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 dun. Gosh, no one in chat just got that reference. 0 people. That's my jokes are for an audience of one specific person. All right, so we got about 2 or 3 minutes. So let's toss this one in there and then we'll go back, do a full recap, and then check out our final ideas for our friends at Ingen. And chat, thanks for sticking around with us. This was a super fun time. Coming up right after this, we have Andrea Epi with the XD Challenge, the draw along with Kyle T. Webster a little later today, and then Alice Lee on at 3 o'clock. And if you want to, after that stream at 3 o'clock for Doodle Therapy, you can hop over to my personal Behance, just behance.net/hawk.co, and we'll be playing Super Mario 64 with our friend Ryan Selvey doing some art and maybe animation based on some Mario characters. So we'll have a lot of fun. And 11:30 Pacific time tomorrow for office hours. Today, again, right after Doodle Therapy, hop over. Join us on my Behance. It'll be relaxed and fun. Oh, yes, Caitlin Green got it. It's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie. Yep, that's the reference right there. All right, so once we get this one locked in, we'll go back, start at the beginning where we started with sketches, and run all the way through for our last 5 minutes or so, give you guys an idea of what we've accomplished together. And chat, you were super helpful in pretty much all of these final concepts. I think one or two we kind of did on our own, but the others, like, you pretty much made. We were just executing your advice.
Absolutely. Yeah, super collaborative experience. It's great. Great, great, great.
All right, so let's go and head back to the very beginning, John, and I'm going to turn it over to you to walk us through just the entirety of where we've been.
Cool. Well, I mean, we started from our little research board next to you, which we kept coming back to a lot in a good way. I was happy that people in the chat were even referencing things, you know, to pull color from, to pull shape inspiration from. But we took that, we went for our day one board into all of these drawings that then actualized into all of these sketches. We highlighted our favorites. I think we've got 4 or 5 here, and then really blew them out here. So, you know, our DNA icons here, our ends that evolved here in a really beautiful way. We have our little devil G, which, you know, it's still there, and then if we had another day on this, he would get some love, but I'm not going to get rid of him.
And I love the process of, like, just within the process that edited itself out. Yesterday we were like, yeah, we need to work on this some more, and then as we worked, we're like, cool, it just didn't come up, and so it was not important as these other ones that we thought maybe were less important.
Yeah, and I think it was great too, like, you know, labeling things and having versions, and we kind of collectively figured this out in the chat. But if you're working on your own, you know, labeling things like this and sending them to people in a text message or a messenger, you know, app, and just being like, hey, react to these, let me know what you think, give me a number, you know, circle something that's working. It's a good way to get feedback, because sometimes you need other people's eyes with it. And then, yeah, it took us all the way through our color explorer, and I think we ended up with 3 pages that are almost ready for, you know, some sort of brand book. We've got our big pixel aggressive G. We've got our cool gradient DNAN, and we've got our neon pharmaceutical vibing DNAI.
And I love that, like, can you talk a little bit about each of those? Like, what is the voice and persona for each of those? Like, if you were going to pitch it to a client, just to kind of prove that we have created 3 completely different vibes from the same idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at them right now, they're giving different things in color. They're giving different things in shape. You know, just from like a formal standpoint, you have like really thin type, you have lowercase, you have really big chunky uppercase stuff. All those choices lead to a totally different feel. You know, like when I say something like, you know, a military vibe or a pharmaceutical vibe, it's all in those little things about like, what's the width of the lines? What is the spacing and the kerning we're using? And I think when you like get to zoom out like this and give kind of a summary view, it's really apparent that you have 3 different things.
Yeah, and I think looking at this, sorry, I was reading in chat, got distracted. I think that it's interesting, right? And I always like to like look at it and then close my eyes and try to imagine like, who is this person and do they represent the company, right? The first one we look at, and that feels, you know, like it's this drill sergeant. They're like a little more muscular. They have a commanding voice. You know, they've always got their like boots on, even like the casual days, they've still got like this, like, you know, like weight to it. And then the second one is this like very scientific, buttoned up, like very well educated person who is ready to give us information and kind of like outsmart us. And then the third is just this cool, you know, like middle-aged person that's just, or I mean, not middle-aged, but like mid-30s or like early career, kind of like, hey, I know a lot about this thing. I'm super excited to tell you about it, but it's not like too preachy.
Yeah.
And
as you were saying that, I literally changed the color to white from black on that second one, because as you're describing, I'm like, well, that first one's so heavy with all that black, maybe we want this one to look a little different. I was like, let's get rid of the black and see what it looks like there. But even little things like that, like what colors are they both leveraging? Are they doing different things? Do they feel different?
Yep. And yeah, and I love, again, like talking about almost that person is like, oh, we need to change something on their outfit, or like some little detail makes a huge difference. And hearing that, you're like, oh, this needs to be white. That once you get far enough into a process, it turns into the answer is like, oh, of course it is. right? That like you were looking at that as I was talking, you're like, oh, of course this has to be white. But it's like, wait, couldn't it be any color? Like, no, it very obviously needs to be white. That I love once you get far enough in, it just starts to fall into place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So John, of these, which is your favorite? If you were going in, we were like, cool, I'm in charge of Ingen. I'm taking one of these. Which would you take and why?
This is coming from a very technical rationale, obviously. I thought it was going to be this end because I loved him the whole time. But surprisingly, this guy up here, I want him. And I don't even want the full word mark. I want this icon right here because I want to like spray paint it on something. I want it to be on the side of a truck. I want it to be a single color screen print on on a thing. I don't know. I get excited by it.
I I I kind of agree. And it's funny because I thought that it was going to be the cool DNA end for me as well, but like 100% not. Like that is literally my lowest option now. I think that I lean toward the bottom right. It just is so fresh and new and like vibrant. And like it feels so right. And like when I think about like the lab scenes where like the raptors like climbing out of the egg, I'm like, yeah, I see this in the background 100%. But then I think about the military scenes and I'm like, oh dude, I want that chunky like ing on everything. So yeah, those are like top. And then the N has literally fallen like away in my mind. I don't know how it happened, but chat, you've
But
taken us
I will
there.
say for the end, if we had another hour, we could get that end singing, and I think it can get there. It's right on the edge.
It's true. Yeah, and it's true. It feels like we have two concepts that are ready to present, and then that N is right on the edge of like we could almost send this decked.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us today, everyone. That's the end of our 2-day stream with our friend John Olson. John, if people want to follow you, want to follow along after this stream, where will they find you?
You can find me on Behance and Instagram, both at Hello John Olson.
Yes, and Voodoo Val, thanks for those links right there. We're going to wrap up again. Andrea Epi is up next with the XD Challenge. Then we have Kyle Webster and some doodle therapy later in the day. And if you want to come hang out with me, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on my Behance in the link in chat, we're playing Super Mario 64. Going to have some fun. So, John, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you had a good time. Yeah, any parting wisdom? I always give like 30 seconds at the end. Parting wisdom and inspiration for people in chat.
I hope everyone after this goes and watches Jurassic Park.
Yes, that is the best creative advice you could give. So, bye everybody. Have fun. Turn on Jurassic Park, and we'll see you next time on Adobe Live.